Good afternoon. My name is Michael York. During today's program, we will hear from two speakers representing the class of 1994. It is my privilege to introduce the first of these speakers, Eric Johnson.
Mr. Fulton, Mr. Nash, Mr. Briggs, Mr. York, our distinguished guests, Mr. Perryman and Reverend Bingman, faculty, staff, friends, and family. On behalf of Greenhill School's 1994 graduating class, I'd like to thank you for honoring us with your presence this evening. This occasion denotes an important milestone in our young lives, and we're delighted that you're here to share with us in its celebration. It is both a tremendous honor and a great privilege to have the opportunity to address this wonderful assembly and to speak on behalf of this year's graduating class. It's not my desire this evening to speak for long, for I know that the reason we're all gathered here today is yet to come in our ceremony. And I know that there are 85 young men and women seated behind me who would like to see me hasten to my conclusion, and so I will. Being a high school senior, it's not uncommon to have friends who are also seniors at other schools. Most of my friends outside of Greenhill attended public high schools with graduating classes that range from 300 students to over 700 students. I had the pleasure of witnessing the commencement exercises of a number of my friends, and because of the large number of graduates in their senior classes and the subsequently large amount of time it took to call all of them by their first, middle, and last names, I found myself looking around and thinking at their graduation ceremonies. What I thought about mostly were the differences between their commencement exercises and the ones I'd witnessed in conjunction with Greenhill's graduations in the past. I quickly noticed several obvious differences, such as the location. My friends' commencements were held at rather large and relatively impersonal places, such as convention centers and athletic stadiums, in order to accommodate the larger number of graduates and their families. I had grown accustomed to the Meyerson Symphony Center, which is smaller and seems to me a more user-friendly place to have a graduation. Then, after marveling at the sheer number of graduates, I noticed that a distinction was made between the highest honor, and the regular graduates, both in their seating assignments and in their attire, which is not the practice at Greenhill's commencement. And of course, I noticed the fact that my friends were graduating in traditional caps and gowns, and that at Greenhill we graduated in tuxedos and dresses. Later, when daydreaming about the day when I'd be able to walk across this stage and join my friends in their post-high school celebrations, I kept returning to the thoughts I had while attending those commencement exercises. It was then that I realized what I wanted to speak about this evening. It occurred to me that Greenhill's commencement exercises are indeed very different. So are our class rings, and so is our commencement date, which is nearly a month after everyone else's. Being so unlike other schools used to bother me, but now I believe these differences are only fitting because the experience of attending school at Greenhill is indeed unique. This uniqueness is what I'm interested in discussing, for it's played a major role in my life for the past 11 years, and has also affected the lives of my friends at Greenhill and indirectly my friends outside of Greenhill, as well as my family. I'd like to suggest to you why and how the Greenhill experience is unique. I believe the Greenhill experience is unlike that of most high schools because of Greenhill's ability to select its students from a pool of talented applicants. Public schools, by design, are there to provide an education to all children within a particular district. And as we well know, school districts are drawn to encompass contiguous neighborhoods, and neighborhoods tend to be more or less homogeneous with regards to race and socioeconomic class. Therefore, most students at public schools, they're not magnet schools, have similar socioeconomic backgrounds and tend to be members either of a clearly predominant racial group or a distinct minority group. However, Greenhill is not subject to the confines of any district. Greenhill is an institution whose students share unconditionally the characteristics of academic talent and exceptional ability. These are the only unconditional characteristics that they share. And because these traits are not exclusive to any ethnic group or social class, Greenhill has a rather racially, religiously, ethnically, and socially diverse student body. This diversity has played an integral role in my 11-year career at Greenhill. I can still remember my first year at Greenhill. I came from an elementary school in West Dallas that was almost entirely black. At that school, I was very sure of myself, my ability, and my belonging there. I phenotypically resembled everyone else, I dressed like everyone else, and I acted basically like everyone else. The work tended to be easy, and I was always receiving praise from my teachers. When I came to Greenhill, things were quite different. I, along with a handful of other black and Hispanic kids from Oak Cliff, West Dallas, and East Dallas, arrived at school every day at about 7:30. We would unload the Boys and Girls Club's van, which had picked us up from the Boys and Girls Clubs in our neighborhoods at about 6:45 in the morning, and we'd wait outside the buildings at Greenhill until they opened at about 7:45. The other kids would then arrive, some in minivans driven by their mothers, whom I always remember as wearing jogging suits for some reason. And others would arrive in rather expensive cars driven by their fathers, who I guess were on their way to the office. I remember from time to time feeling like we bus kids really stood out at the carpool circle. But I know now that whether we did or not, it didn't really matter. What mattered is that we were there, just like everyone else. It also didn't matter that we listened to different music than most of the other kids, or that we dressed slightly less expensively. All that mattered is that we were there, getting what so many before us had been deprived of, a first-rate education. That was what my parents kept reminding me of during the course of my Greenhill career. And I'm sure other students in the same situation had a similar support system at home. Or at least I hope they did, because I owe being on this stage today to my family and friends at home, and particularly my mother. The academic work, compared to my old school, was harder. But I, as well as the other bus kids, managed to stay afloat. Actually managed to do quite well. My anxieties about being black in a predominantly white environment proved to be slightly unfounded. I cannot say that I felt 100% completely embraced and accepted by every member of the non-black Greenhill community, but I also cannot say that I felt completely embraced and accepted by every black member of the Greenhill community. But realistically, I don't believe anybody can expect to be fully accepted by everyone in any community, despite the race and no matter how sociable they are. Therefore, I leave Greenhill with significantly more positive memories than negative ones, and I hope that we all do. The Greenhill experience is invaluable. Someone, however, has managed to put a $9,000 price tag on it. That money covers tuition, fees, and other expenses, but doesn't suggest the additional amount of learning that goes on outside the classroom and after school hours are over. I learned so much from the people at Greenhill, and I will take that knowledge with me wherever I go. I'll never forget the night I spent the night with a fellow classmate of mine, Doug Moore, and I played dominoes with he and his father. To my surprise, I discovered that night that there's a white way and a black way to play the same game. The white way calls for neatly placing the dominoes next to each other at right angles. And when points are scored, pointing out to your opponent, "Oh, I believe that's 5 points." The black way, however, demands that the dominoes be slammed on the table. And that when points are scored, the scorer must create a witty rhyme to rub it into his opponent. This difference in playing style might seem negligible to the domino layman, but I attribute my 5 consecutive losses that night to this very phenomenon. I'll also never forget one time when Jenny Sherlin, a member of the class of 1993, was giving me a ride home, and we stopped for gas near her house, which is in far north Dallas. She got out of the car, and I presumed to go pay for the gas, and I was going to pump the gas when she returned. I assumed she was going to pay for it, and I was going to pump it when she got back. But to my surprise, she went directly to the pump, got the gas, and then paid for it. When she returned, I asked her excitedly how she managed to get her gas without paying first. And I was shocked by her response, because she told me that she had never paid for her gas first, and she had never even heard of such a thing. I retorted that I'd never gotten my gas first, and that in all the places I've lived, there were signs demanding that the purchaser pay first. The rest of the way home, we discussed this issue, and we wondered what were the socioeconomic and racial implications of such a dichotomy in gas station practices. The reason I mention these two occurrences is because I think they exemplify what the Greenhill experience is all about, or at least what it's meant to me. People know about Greenhill's academic reputation, about how many kids it sends to the Ivy League, or how many national merit finalists and presidential scholarships produced, and this is all very good. But what many people do not know is what a lesson Greenhill provides on the value of diversity, ethnic, socioeconomic, and religious. I've learned, I hope, a great deal from being in Greenhill's classrooms. However, I've learned just as much, if not more, from Greenhill's students. I'd like for you to allow me a few more minutes to make a series of requests. Just last week, one of us, and by that I mean a Greenhill graduate, who was a friend of mine named Reginald Broadus, was killed by two perpetrators who used a handgun to commit their crime. And I'm asking that as a school, we commemorate Reggie's contributions to the Greenhill community by funding a scholarship in his name that will provide a minority student with an opportunity to acquire a Greenhill education. Although Greenhill has made a commitment to diversity, it must continue to strive towards creating an environment whose ethnic makeup more closely resembles American society. Although laudably 21% of Greenhill's student body are students of color, we still need more diversity amongst our faculty to serve as role models to these increasing number of students. It's troubling for me to know that a young black or Hispanic child at Greenhill can find substantially more role models on the cafeteria staff, in the maintenance department, and in the athletic department than in any academic building on campus. I have many hopes and dreams and aspirations for this senior class and for this school. It's my desire that this senior class, as well as classes to come, will go on from Greenhill with a more open mind and cosmopolitan attitude. It is my desire that we as Greenhill graduates will take advantage of our unique educational experience and teach others what we've learned. And it's my hope that Greenhill will not rest on its laurels, but will continue to move towards greater diversity on its campus. These are my main concerns, and I hope that they can all be addressed in the near future. I'd like to thank you for your time, for your patience, and of course your presence. May God bless all of you, and I hope He'll bless all of us. Peace.